It's time for another edition of Cowboys Special Edition, brought to you by AT&T as we are past the halfway point of this Cowboys season, and the unbeaten Pittsburgh Steelers are at AT&T Stadium on Sunday afternoon. Bill Jones along with Bucky Brooks, Isaiah Stanback, and Nate Newton as we break down what's going on with this team at the halfway point of the season and look ahead to this game. Let's go around the horn to kick things off, and Bucky, let's start with you. Where are we here at the halfway point?
Well, we're not in a great spot, but I do think there's some silver linings that the Cowboys can take to build upon. One, I think the defense played better against the Philadelphia Eagles. Two, we saw the running game slowly but surely start to get on track with Tony Pollard contributing. So if you build off those two things, I think it gives you an opportunity to maybe win some games in the second half of the season.
I'm with you, Buck, man. And even the broke clock is right twice a day. So I'm hoping that Big Ben coming to town, man. Hopefully we get this thing right. We got to get on track somehow. Why not against the best team in the league right now?
We got a lot of young guys out there learning on defense. They rallied behind D-Law and Trayvon Diggs. And if they can keep that momentum and just keep rolling, man, and get better and better, we'll be okay in the end.
And the broke clock was right twice in the first half of the season, a 2-6 record here at the halfway point. Let's start things off with Mike McCarthy, his assessment of where the Cowboys are at the quarterback position right now.
Yes, first the decision was made to go with the two experienced quarterbacks. Obviously Ben's experience in Sunday night was, I think, we all knew the facts going into it, the speed of the game and the challenges that were presented to him. And I just felt that with the opponent that we're playing, we need some more experience at that position. So, obviously Garrett Gilbert's been here for a couple of weeks. He's had the chance to play, in preseason games and has more experience. And no different with Cooper. Cooper played last year. Was very familiar with the system. Kellen Moore has a lot of confidence, there. So we're gonna let those two guys. We're gonna go through the week and then make a decision.
Brought to you by Auto Nation. Mike McCarthy on the quarterback situation, as it is either Garrett Gilbert or Cooper Rush, as they went through practice throughout the week, hoping to make a decision by Saturday. And so, where do you think the Cowboys are at quarterback, Bucky? What do you think with the fourth different starting quarterback this week?
There's something in my gut that tells me that Cooper Rush will probably end up getting the nod, only because there's a comfort level, because he knows at least some of the system. He may be able to better execute some of the audibles and those things. But either way, you're talking about two quarterbacks who haven't thrown many passes in the National Football League. I just don't know how you can find a way to get it done. But this is where we are with the Dallas Cowboys right now. They have to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a bad situation no matter where you go. I think Cooper Rush does get the nod this week simply because of the continuity that him and Kellen Moore probably have from their prior relationship. But there's no right answer against this defense. These guys are relentless. They're tenacious, and they're not going to stop.
I just think that you just have to put a guy in there, stick with that guy, get some type of rhythm, man, going. You started something with Zeke and Tony Pollard. Continue it this week. Get the ball out of their hands quick. 1, 2, 3, out. And if not, just get rid of the ball.
And, of course, Garrett Gilbert has been with the team a week or so longer than what Cooper Rush has been after Cooper Rush was signed last week. All right, let's talk about this defense. As Bucky mentioned right off the top of the show, defense improved last week. In fact, only gave up 222 yards and came away with 4 takeaways. And leading the charge up front, you had DeMarcus Lawrence, and also, of course, at cornerback, as Trayvon Diggs had his first 2 picks of his NFL career. Bucky?
Yeah, I was excited. Now, I think some of this could have been a reaction to dismissing some of the veterans that were underperforming. We got Dontari Poe out the building, Darrell Worley, traded away Everson Griffin. I think it finally sent a message that, hey, when you're on the field, there's a certain level of expectation to go with your playing. And I saw a team that played harder. I saw a team that finally played like the team that we had talked about. So maybe there's something that they can build upon.
I agree. I think these guys came out and played with a different type of energy that they might not have had when the veterans were in there. When those guys are out the picture, you can kind of set your own culture. I'm looking forward to seeing what Diggs can do this week. Obviously, coming off the 2 interceptions, I want to see him play more press man coverage, but actually getting his hands on guys instead of just trying to shadow them.
And Marcus Lawrence played one of his overall games, and we need for him to continue to do that, to lead these young guys into this next level.
All right, we're just getting started on this edition of Cowboys Special Edition. Of course, it's a whole different story this week because the unbeaten Pittsburgh Steelers are coming to town. We break down the Steelers when we continue in just a moment.
Special edition presented by AT&T is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Salvation Army, doing the most good. And by AT&T. This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the new Sevens scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery. With top prizes up to $977,000. There's a Sevens scratch ticket for everyone. So play today.
Welcome back to Cowboys Special Edition, brought to you by AT&T. Bill Jones with Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, and Bucky Brooks as we take a look now at this 3:25 kickoff on Sunday at AT&T Stadium as the unbeaten Pittsburgh Steelers come to town. They are 7-0 for the first time since 1978. Mike Tomlin in his 14th year, they have not had a losing season since Mike Tomlin took over as head coach of the Steelers. Looking good this year. Let's start on offense. And Isaiah, Big Ben, of course, back this year playing at a very high level, and he's got a lot of weapons to work with, doesn't he?
Yeah, you never lie, man. I mean, Big Ben has pretty much anything that he wants. He can close his eyes and throw the ball up, and some amazing receiver, tight end, or running back is going to come down with it. He has a stout offensive line, one of the best centers to ever play the game, a really good running back in Connor. Eric Ebron's come in and had a big impact, and then obviously we know Juju, Claypool, Washington, and Johnson. These guys can do whatever they want to on offense. We have to find a way to get to Big Ben without sacrificing the big plays down the field.
And I want to echo what you're saying about that offensive line. They are playing well. They've only given up 10 sacks to this point. Big Ben is getting the ball out. He's only threw 4 interceptions versus 15 TDs. And no receiver, Claypool has been a pleasant surprise, and Juju's just being steady. So he has a plethora of guys he can throw it to. And with Collins coming out of the backfield, it is a plus.
Yeah, this is a difficult offense to contain, and one of the reasons is because Big Ben is getting the ball out so quickly. 2.29 seconds is time for snap to throw, and so you can't get there. And so the big thing that the Cowboys have to do, they have to drop, rally, and tackle. They have to know that these guys are going to catch the ball, but they got to hit them as soon as they catch them. They can't give up the yak yards. If they can contain them in that aspect, that gives them a chance to be able to win.
You look at the Steelers on defense, and last year it was an 8-8 season as Big Ben was injured. And it was the defense that made them an 8-8 team last year. And they led the league in takeaways with 38. They're second in the league in takeaways this year. Minka Fitzpatrick makes a huge difference. But we'll start with you, Isaiah. How do the Cowboys attack this defense that has 30 sacks on the season already?
Yeah, somehow, somewhere, we have to find a way to get this run game going. I'm not sure how to go about that, but if you're going to do so, I think you need to do it on the edge instead of trying to go away from T.J. Watt and going away from obviously Bud Dupree. I think you attack these guys. You use their aggression against them and try to get this run game going, and then maybe hopefully that frees up our pass.
Just be consistent in what you do. You can't have any negative plays this week. Whatever you do is trying to stay ahead of the chains, to even with the chains, and give yourself a chance on third down to be 5 yards less, because those guys you spoke of, Isaiah, are tremendous. And they got a guy in the middle named Stephon Truitt. He's bringing the heat.
I mean, you talk about 3 guys on pace. They have 13 sacks, and T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree, and Truitt. And so I think this is something that Dallas has to do. They have to run the football, but they're not going to let Dallas run the ball. So I'm thinking you're going to have to use some max protection looks, even out of your 11 personnel sets, because the guys on the outside can win. But you got to give the quarterback enough time to let CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup have time to win those one-on-one routes on the outside.
All right, it's going to be a tough assignment for the Cowboys against these Steelers. When we come back here on Special Edition, we're going to hear from Stephen Jones, get his take on this team at the halfway point of the season.
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Play the new Sevens scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery. With top prizes up to $977,000. There's a Sevens scratch ticket for everyone. So play today. This segment is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas.
AT&T brings you Cowboys Special Edition, and Nationwide brings you Stephen Jones this week, sitting down with Nick Eatman.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nick Eatman here, joined by Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. And Stephen, let's get right to it. We got another great matchup going on here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're undefeated. It seems like, when you got a situation with the quarterbacks, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but the road just doesn't get any easier with Pittsburgh coming to town.
No, Pittsburgh is certainly a great football team this year. They're, like you said, the only undefeated team. They got a great coach in Coach Mike Tomlin. Got some great veteran players, starting with the quarterback with Ben Roethlisberger. Certainly, they've always played great defense there in Pittsburgh, and it's no different this year. They're playing at a very high level, and we're going to have our hands full. And as usual, as we know, those Steeler fans travel too. So I know they're trying to get in the building and get to be a part of this as well. But last week I think we really showed improvement, and on the defensive side of the ball, certainly we're going to need to improve again. And we got our challenges there at the quarterback position again this week. But I feel like we've had a great week of practice, and we're ready to go to work and win a football game.
Let's talk about the defense. Like you said, you saw a lot of improvements there. What specifically? Was it taking the ball away? Was that one, or was it just an aggressive nature? Some of those fumbles were really like off the blitz.
Well, I think it starts with that. I mean, anytime you can win the turnover margin, you give yourself a chance. Now, we didn't get it done against Philadelphia, but certainly that was a big part of it. But, the other thing, we didn't make the mistakes early in terms of getting ourselves behind, so we were able to really use some of our edge players, our pressure players, as you said, had some good quarterback hits, some good sacks. I think really the defense forced the issue and caused the turnover. So that was a really big thing. And then, after about the first series or two, I think we really dialed in on our run game in terms of stopping the run. And early on, it looked a little suspect, but I think we were able to tighten that down. And we've just got to continue to try to eliminate turnovers on the offensive side of the ball, and I think good things are going to happen for us.
Well, let's flip to the quarterback position, like you said, and obviously this will be, I think we researched the stats, first time since 1994 you've had 3 consecutive weeks with 3 different quarterbacks. Now, that was Aikman, Garrett, Rodney Peete, a little bit different this week. Talk about who it might be and just like what is going to be the case when it's Cooper Rush or Garrett Gilbert. What are you guys factoring in with those two?
Well, we're just looking at how they work this week, how they handle the huddle, how they handle the game plan. We want to take that all in. And, of course, there's always the competitive issues of, the opposing team not knowing who they're going to go up against. So, looking at the full week of practice, we'll see how they did, and then make a decision based on that. And, I know we'll come up with a good one and one that gives us the best chance to win. So, and at the same time, DiNucci, it was great for him to get that, that type of reps against a really good football team in the Eagles. Certainly, we had a good visit with him. We've got a lot of confidence in him. He's just going to need some more work before he's ready to get back in there.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And Bill, we'll throw it back to you.
All right, thanks, Nick and Stephen. And up next here on Special Edition, the guys rejoin me, and we break down the key matchups, Cowboys and Steelers at AT&T Stadium.
This segment was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by AT&T.
Cowboy Special Edition brought to you by AT&T continues now as we look at some key matchups as the Pittsburgh Steelers come to town to take on the Cowboys. And let's start with you, Bucky Brooks, as one of the key matchups when the Steelers are on offense. The rookie Chase Claypool against another rookie for the Cowboys, Trayvon Diggs, who had a big game, of course, last week against the Eagles. But this is a different type matchup for him, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a different type matchup. As they say in the locker room, he's going to have to put on his big boy pads when he deals with Chase Claypool because he is a grown man on the outside. He is their leading receiver. He is the guy that takes the top off the defense. He's averaging 16.5 yards per catch. And so even though people will talk about the other guys, Juju Smith-Schuster and Eric Ebron and others, Claypool is the guy that really makes it happen. Trevon Diggs has to be on his game to contain him because you can't let the ball fly over your head. Claypool is the guy that they try and target down the field.
He has already been a difference maker for the Steelers on offense. All right, Nate, your matchup, T.J. Watt, who's on track for a double-digit sack season, and Cam Irving started at left tackle a week ago for the Cowboys. And what do you think of that matchup?
I don't think much of it, right? And I have to be honest. You will need max protection, as Brooks has talked about earlier and often. We would need max protection for both tackles. We would need our running backs chipping. We would need our tight ends in. We would need people running across the formation and widen these guys out. They need help on the offensive line when it comes to just Steelers defense, led by T.J. Watt.
Okay, and Watt's got his 6 sacks. Bud Dupree, Stephon Tuitt as well. All right, let's look at the matchup for Isaiah, and that would be the tight end Eric Ebron against the linebacker Jalen Smith. What are you thinking, Isaiah?
Yeah, well, once again, Pittsburgh finds a way to revive a player that didn't make it in any other place. Eric Ebron has came into that organization and played very well. The area in which he's really good in right now is the area that Jalen Smith struggles in, and that's space. They're utilizing him a lot in motion. He's not going to have his hand in the ground too often. He's going to be motioning across the formation. Jalen Smith's going to have to recognize it. He's going to have to get his hands on him often and early and try to stop this guy from getting off and running routes down the field. Because not only does he have size, but he also has speed. And again, this is where Jalen Smith struggles. So hopefully, like Buck said, bring your big boy pants.
All right, those are the key matchups. What are the keys to a Cowboys victory? How do they shock the world against the Steelers on Sunday afternoon when Special Edition continues?
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Final couple of minutes here of Cowboys Special Edition brought to you by AT&T. Let's go around the horn. Some keys to a Cowboys win over the unbeaten Pittsburgh Steelers at 3:25 Sunday afternoon. Bucky, what do you think? What do the Cowboys have to do if they got a chance of knocking off the Steelers?
They can't turn the ball over. They cannot give the ball to the other team. This is going to be a game where it's going to be very, very difficult for the Cowboys to score more than 20, 21 points. And so they can't gift opportunities to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's going to be hard because the pressure that the Pittsburgh Steelers put on you, it makes offensive line and quarterbacks crumble. We'll see if the Cowboys can hold up under the pressure.
Isaiah, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go with the other side, Buck. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Cowboys need to force some turnovers. Obviously, I think Pittsburgh's going to be looking to see how many points they can score in this game. And the last thing that these receivers are going to be worried about is ball security. So hopefully we have opportunity to punch the ball out and give ourselves more opportunities to stay in this game.
I agree.
And the Cowboys did, yeah. And Cowboys came away with 4 takeaways last week. Nate, I got to set you up because we saved you for last year. You're the anchor man, and I just found out you were the anchor man on the sprint relay team at Jones High School in Orlando,
That's
Florida.
Right. Yeah, bringing home a bucket of chicken each time, baby. Yes, sir. I agree with both guys right quick, like I agree with both guys. Turnovers and no turnovers, and we can win this game.
All right, so our anchor man, who wins this game?
The Steelers have been known to score 24 points a game. All we have to do is score 1 point more.
1 point. 1 point. Bucky's got it there. Cowboys by 1, right?
That's right. No
All right. That does it for Cowboys Special Edition. We will see you again next week.